I know I adjusted the clutch a while ago, but I'm not very happy with that amount of, call it free play in it. So to say about 10 mil, 3/8 of an inch, this is a 10 mil nut, and it's not going in there. So I'm going to give it another go. So I'm with my 11/16. Spanner, and loosen it off. Starting to twist, so I'll put this on the other side. It's just one of those things I want right, because I noticed when I put my foot, even rested it on here, that I could feel the clutch release bearing. Turn it, and that's not good. So we've loads of free play there. So how I do this is, I might have to get a bungee. Might get a bungee and just hold up the pedal like that. Okay, so that's it there, holding up. Have the 10 mil nut in place, so that's going to keep my free play right, and then I pull this backwards towards the back of the tractor, and then I tighten up. And now if I take this off, see what I have free play wise. Still too much, that's okay, I have to pull it back further, so that's no problem. Where is it? That's actually about right. It's a little bit too much. Okay, back on with my bungee. So that's in place. Back on with my bungee. I pull this backwards. I feel it, take up the slack, and I can give it a tighten up. Now, we'll try that, see what it's like. This could be a very short video. Now, we have 10 mil now. And make sure the flat size of that nut. Yeah, now we have 10 mil. So this is a two-stage clutch. So that's engaging. So we've got the first clutch starting to engage there. That's the first clutch engaged. And the second one is there, right down. Now, I don't see myself using the PTO on this anytime soon, but regardless, I do want it right. So I'm happier having that much, because I literally only had a tiny bit, and as I said, if I even rested my foot, I could feel it shaking because of the clutch release bearing, and I don't want the clutch release bearing slightly touching, because it'll start wearing it. And when them things go, they do make a lot of racket, and you've no option but to split. So that's just a quick video on adjusting the clutch. So the trick is, as I showed, to get your 10 mil nut and your bungee cord, and to put your bungee on somewhere there. If this was a really painted up tractor now, I probably most definitely wouldn't be putting it on there on my bodywork, but that keeps it up. You put in your 10 mil nut under there, and yes, it's raining heavily again, and then you can loosen off there. So that's just a small job that I wanted to sort out. Anything else while I'm here? I left on my fuel, but I think it ran out of fuel the last day, so that's okay. That's not important. I do want to check one more part, because I am trying to find out where some air is getting into the system. So I suppose one thing that I have overlooked over the last while, and I know I can check it with a bit of grease, put a bit of grease around it, and that is the PCV, we'll call it in modern terms, everything falling. The PCV pipe. If that is leaking, it's going to suck in there, it's going to get too much air. So I do have my 11/16 spanner to hand, but I'm fairly sure it's fairly tight, and that's not the issue. Yeah, it's perfect. But if it's leaking in behind there, around it, through it, doesn't matter, it's going to affect the running, especially ticking over. Not too bad when the engine's revved up, it's going to want more air anyway. So I'm just going to cover that with a bit of grease all around, and that'll help seal it if it is leaking. And if it gets better, then it stops that popping out the exhaust every now and again when it's ticking over and when it's warm. I'll know that that's all it is. Them pipes I don't think can be bought new, and they do get worn. It's only so many times you can tighten them, so that's just going to be something that I'm going to do. I might put on the thicker grease that I have, the Loctite C200 stuff. I find this is a brilliant grease. It's not very, it's more kind of a, actually it's a bit of a mix, I think. Whatever oil is in it is just sort of coming to the top, but it's kind of that sort of a grease. I find it very good. So the likes of that, this is cool, this part. So you can really slap it on. It's not going to make any difference at all to the running of it or burning or causing any issues. So the likes of that, plenty of it on. It's very easy to wipe it off. I want to make sure that there's loads of that on there, and it'll suck it in and around the pipe, in under that nut if it is leaking, and it'll improve the running. So if I'm going to test it, I want to test it right. So the only way of testing it right is to put plenty of it on, and I leave off that heat shield until I'm certain that it's is an issue or not an issue. But that's how we test that. The other end of it is up. Can it be seen on top of the rocker cover up? You can just see it there. I've Doughty washers on that. They're making a great connection. So another thing I noticed, this new pipe has a nice crack in it as well. It's only on a couple of months, and you can see straight away it's cracking. So that's not ideal. So I might try and find a better pipe for that. Pity modern parts. But anyway, that's just how I go about adjusting the clutch. And that's also another little thing I've forgotten to check properly. So the next time I have it running, I'm going to check that and we'll see. And then I also, the last video was on the dynamo bracket. As you can see, the repair I did there. Thankfully it's hidden with the heat shield, but it's still just ever so slightly off. It's a little bit angled. I think, what did I say it was? It needs to come out this way a little bit. So I did loosen them there and there. I put a pry bar under there. I held it with one hand and tightened them up. So again, it's something I just want to fine tune and get right. You can see this is a Vapor-Matic hose pipe. Sorry, not hose pipe, fan belt. The hose pipe I was thinking of was up there. I replaced it, and in this country Vapormatic parts were widely available about 20-25 years ago, and the previous owner said a lot of work was done in this tractor around then, so it does make sense. It's harder to get them parts now. Another little part I want to check properly is this. Now, I have a very good gasket on there. I did flatten both surfaces. I had to flatten the flange on the new exhaust, something fierce. It was well out. So if that's leaking, you will get a little bit of a pop out the exhaust. And likewise down here, if that joint is leaking, I actually made a kind of a hard paper gasket in there to try and keep that sealing, because it wasn't sealing and I had a hard job trying to get it to seal. So I think it's fair to say it's definitely leaking when you see the likes of that black soot there. So if I can get all these issues sorted, I have a feeling I'll be on the right road to getting that pop and the slight I don't know if it's a misfire, that popping out the exhaust sorted. So I'm going to just have a little look and see if I can do a slightly better job on the likes of that down there, and recheck these for tightness, because I know they do heat, they do get long as well. So that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to be doing next. So if I give it a cold start, I'll be able to hold that exhaust for a while before it gets hot, and I should be able to see then is it leaking badly, and if it is, it's definitely going to start popping there. Also want to check that air pipe as well. Yeah, that's well and truly covered in grease. This doesn't seem to be leaking. That does seem to be a little bit there. Not bad. Fan belt isn't too bad. The pulley's a little bit, I think they're cast iron, so I did give an oil in there not too long ago. Be interesting to see, does that make any difference? So give it a nice coating there. Again, it's when it's hot you'll really notice the difference, if there is going to be a difference. What would happen, if that is going to make a difference, is it would richen the mixture a bit. Now, I don't know, can you hear that, but it's definitely something's after changing there now in the engine. Sounds like it's running richer, or dropping its revs. It's like it's sort of something's after getting sucked in to a crack or a leak, and it's definitely running a little bit richer. interesting. Another test, of course, for the intake manifold is that you spray Easy Start, WD-40, carb cleaner, any flammable sort of spray in around it, and it affects the revs. You have a leak, and of course the best time to do that is when the engine is cool, so there's less chance of anything going on fire. But that the engine definitely has all of a, not all of a sudden, but in the well, yeah, nearly all of a sudden has got sounds like it's gone running a bit richer. So we give it a rev and we see if it's it's interesting. This kind of trial and error is definitely interesting. I'm trying to see, do I see any, but thought that was a bubble or something there. If it is, I'll push it into it just in case, and just to see. And for the fun of it, I'm going to spray something like Easy Start here. I never used this. This was actually left in the house, in the shed when we bought it. The smell of it is rotten. Oh, rotten. Oh. Horrible stuff. So the question is that after making a difference? It doesn't sound like it has. Now I do have this running a bit rich. Just going to bring it back there to a turn and a half on the main jet. Whew, smell of that stuff is not good. So I don't think that's making any difference. Did make a few little pops there. So I'll spray back again, where I thought it was going to make it. Yeah. Engines. Unless it's running out of petrol, there's definitely something going on there. There we go. Smell of that stuff. Yeah. So I'd say my problem a few seconds later you hear the engine starting to run richer. A bit lumpier. So maybe another spit there. As I said before, it's really hard to get that flange flat on the manifold because of the studs. And you risk shearing the studs. Plenty there now. Seems to make a difference. Not so much that time anyway. I don't know, it's just getting through the throttle shaft behind the carb. Starting to come up to temperature for TVO if I wanted. Oof, the smell of this stuff is terrible. I will just take another quick look. Now the engine is making a nice little, like something's after making its way in. It also looks now something definitely is after getting in there somewhere. So what I think is the culprit is this flange. So that's another job I can be going at. So I'm happy with that. It's after clearing itself again, so whatever was there burnt. So these are the little off the cuff kind of checks that I do, and I hope they're helping people or giving them ideas to troubleshoot their own. It is like there's a slight leak in that too. See? Definitely like, well, actually that was probably petrol, but it's definitely drawn the grease down in there. There's a gap, so that's good. So I can work on that. I'm going to have to take off the carb and do a little bit more of a job in there. That gasket was a little bit kind of raggy the last time, and I took it off and I put it back on. I wasn't very happy with it, so maybe thicker gasket, plenty of Indian head, because this is cool to touch, so it's not going to be getting baked on. So there are a few little jobs for this evening, very impromptu and just going with the flow. So I have some things there to try, to check, and I'll keep you updated.